Hey everyone, the Dark Knight is here. Superman for All Seasons is a limited storyline that explores Superman's emotional and moral connection to Earth as Clark Kent, raised by his adoptive parents Jonathan and Martha Kent, and the powers and abilities that he discovers with time. The story emphasizes sentiments, nostalgia, and self-discovery. Across 4 issues, each aligned with a season, Clark tries to figure out the purpose of being different. A successful team of Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale were behind this remarkable limited series. Superman for All Seasons was released monthly between September and December of 1998. The comic book writing partnership of writer Jeph Loeb and illustrator Tim Sale reunited for DC after their successful and memorable work on Batman: The Long Halloween and its sequel, The Dark Victory. While that Halloween story was based on a holiday, this Superman story adopted the concept of seasons. I have no knowledge what inspired them to use festivities. The 4-issue series was themed to each of the 4 seasons and narrated by one of the 4 characters. However, after reading the comic, it doesn't feel that any of the 4 seasons played any part in the story. I assume that applying seasons was just symbolic, that Superman will protect the Earth from all evils for all seasons. At its core, Superman for All Seasons is an intensely human story. The first issue is narrated by Clark Kent's adoptive father, Jonathan, who reflects on his fears and concerns as Clark grows older and begins to realize that he is more than human. What's more impressive about reading this issue are the developments that drives him thinking that he is special. He can hear from afar. A Caesar cannot cut his hair anymore, can run faster than train. It is his isolation that the readers can relate it with their teenhood, particularly when Jonathan joins him and he admits that he is scared. The emotional weight is palpable. Moments later, Clark finds himself in the midst of a tornado. He handles it as well as saves a neighbor. While readers may not share Clark's powers, the metaphor is clear. Sometimes, confronting our greatest fears reveals a true potential. At the point of realization, Clark expresses, "I could have done more." This is where Clark begins to evolve into something beyond an ordinary man. That is a Superman. As I said, in Superman for All Seasons, Clark discovers his ability to fly for the first time during the tornado sequence in the opening issue. While reading this scene, I thought this is what inspired Zack Snyder to kill Clark Kent in Man of Steel. In both stories, a tornado threatens Smallville, but the outcomes differ. Here, Clark discovers that he can fly. In Man of Steel, Henry Cavill's Superman wants to fly and rescue his father, but the latter refused. Superman for All Seasons must be one of the few storylines that push for Clark Kent's romantic arc with Lana Lang instead of Lois Lane. Lana narrates the 4th and final issue, offering deep insight about her life and aim, and more than that, her imagination beyond the clouds with Clark up to the mark where she believed to become Mrs. Clark Kent and raise a family with him. Lana draws similarities with Clark, like being orphans and the only child of the house and unaware who their real parents were. It is Lana to whom Clark trusts the most and shared his biggest secret. It is Lana who suggests him to leave Smallville if he truly wants to help more people with his powers and abilities, and that's how the first kiss between them occurs. When Clark returns home disappointed at the end of the 3rd issue, it is Lana who uplifts the spirit of the distressed Superman and makes him fly back Metropolis, leading to their 2nd kiss. Lana's influence on Clark's emotional growth is significant and fully acknowledged in this story. If you have read Superman for All Seasons, you surely have observed, like me, something really interesting about Clark Kent. 3 of the 4 issues feature a similar image of Clark lying on a bed. If I ever communicate Jeph Loeb somehow, I will certainly question the reason for emphasizing this, because this repetition feels deliberate. In the first picture, Clark overhears his parents discussing him from a distance. In the second, he lies in his Metropolis apartment, stares at the frame of the Kents, misses them, and flies away to them. In the third, Clark shares his doubts with his father. Each moment is different for a man lying on a bed. While trying to connect the dots, all I can sum up is a very personal corner of human is respected. That sets the mood for thinking and considering one of the dimensions of their lives. Tim Sale's illustration in Superman for All Seasons is a mixed experience for me. The worst possible feature of his drawing was the titular sketch of Superman who looked nothing but a confused potato. Same feelings for Lex Luthor, with hair and bushy eyebrows looking like fat ginger Gargamel. But some drawings were striking, like the one in the 3rd issue, in which there is an evil image of Luthor behind the sparks watching Toxin's death. A small will wonder when Clark returns home and hugs Sparkant in the field in the 2nd issue, and a few pages later when he spins himself in the air to put the fire out. But the best drawing of the series undoubtedly was with the Kents, father and son, watching the sunset over their Smallville farm and embracing its beauty. What makes Superman for All Seasons special? I think it is comparatively distinctive, because this is not a typical Superman story as an American god saving the day by delivering the final punch to his enemy in Metropolis and landing on Daily Planet's front page. The story is more about Clark Kent, who, in the beginning of heroism, tries to understand his overbalanced human existence. While reading, Clark's character build-up for Superman melts an emotional gravity when he misses home while working in Metropolis. This is Superman in raw form and is not seasoned, and this is why he is lost when he witnesses Lewis and others unconscious all of a sudden. He looks compromised in front of Lex Luthor and actually does unthinkable: ask for his help. So the readers get to observe their favorite superhero from a different perspective. To understand the significance of Superman for All Seasons, let me remind you that this story was one of the inspirations for James Gunn making Superman. He acknowledged in one of his tweets a few years ago, "It is a Clark story more than Superman's that carries more emotional weight than his punches. There is innocence of understanding his kind, confidence of doing more than he can, doubts about his abilities, and then acceptance about his will and identity." Superman for All Seasons is recommended to all the readers who want to experience reading Superman from a different perspective. And interestingly, this story offers 4. I'm Knaik.